This one looks interesting. Let's see. It says game developers respond to Google's Project Genie, a deeply unpleasant and messy abomination. I'll read this little in brief. Google rolled out its interactive generative AI interactive world builder, Project Genie, on the 29th of January. This week in video games talked to developers about Project Genie's usefulness to understand how it could affect the future of game development. Even the deeply misguided notion that this could somehow replace humans in the game development process is dangerous to the continuation of the art form. All right, how do we get started on this one?
So again, yeah, we did talk a little bit about Project Genie last week, but we mostly talked about how it was like not really, it didn't seem really that great. Of course, you hadn't looked at it yet at that point.
No, I did watch the little trailer they gave, but that's about it. That's all I know.
And I actually don't know much more about it than I did last week because I didn't really have any interest. So I haven't tried it out myself either.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what we talked about last week was that Unity's stock, well, actually, yeah, look at this right here. Share prices in video game companies, including Roblox, Take-Two, CD Projekt Red, right? And Unity plummeted after the announcement. And so then all of a sudden, like, Unity is responding to the media and saying, oh, don't worry, this isn't going to affect our stuff. In fact, we're going to implement AI world generation. And like everyone's kind of panicking in a way. So that's kind of the backstory here.
And I have read actually that Unity are really, really, really interested in implementing AI into their game engine. So it kind of adds up. I didn't know how interested they were in it, but knowing what they've done before, like, it's not surprising either.
Yeah, I know there's like code help tools in Unity already. There's like a bunch of plugins for it, but yeah, for like the actual generation, like world generation aspect, it'd be kind of interesting. I mean, like that's almost one of those things that I might be willing to accept could be good with AI, because obviously there's going to be valuable things that come from this. And the only reason I say that is just like the notion that we use Photoshop for everything now, right? It's just like the age old, oh, we hated a technology, we thought it was making things too easy and thus less creative, but now we use it all the time and it's still creative, right? Like it is a creative thing. And I think that AI can do that, and world generation might be one of those things, right? Like if there's a way for you to like start prompting out your world as like the way you start creating the terrain or the lighting or stuff like that, that could very well be a creative thing that comes from this. And so it is kind of interesting, I would say.
Yeah, and continuing in the article, I think this is like where we're getting closer to the issue here. Jay Peters at The Verge was immediately able to use Project Genie to generate near identical copies of Nintendo games like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario 64, and Metroid Prime. And like all these other AI projects, Diego Rivas from Google DeepMind said that it was trained primarily on publicly available data from the web.
Primarily?
And then primarily. Yeah, I don't know what that means, but I'm guessing at least 51% is what that means. And then Martin Binfield, who's the director of Schrodinger's Cat Burglar, I have never heard of, but now I kind of want to look it up, said the fact that these videos have featured licensed characters shows the depths of unauthorized data scraping required to fuel this plagiarism engine. Like the quotes in this article are insane.
Yeah. The fact that the videos have featured licensed characters shows that was immediately what I thought when I was like, oh, near identical copies. Well, yeah, it was probably trained on it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, if it can make a copy of something, then it has that data. You know what I mean?
Right. And so this is sort of my problem with every AI tool that like pops up is how can you make an AI tool that is like rigorous and knows what it's like supposed to be creating without looking at previous projects and previously created media, because you can't just make copies of stuff. Like that's like he says, plagiarism. That's a big no-no. That's in the best case copyright infringement. In the worst case, it could bring your whole company down.
Exactly. Yeah. Right? That's the thing that I would worry about, is that like young devs that are good at AI are going to hop in, create a game, and immediately just get obliterated legally.
Right. Like look at what happened with Marathon. I think it's Bungie's making it, and they had an art style that was like completely copied from an artist that wasn't even bothered about the use of it in Marathon. Like not even asked, not even mentioned anywhere, not even DM'd on Twitter, and they had to like rework their whole texture pipeline. Everything got changed. If that's all it's going to be, like a plagiarism engine, which I think is like one of the coolest phrases I've ever heard in my life, then I don't think this is going anywhere. And especially if it's only available to Google AI Ultra subscribers at $250 a month, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That makes it only available to people that already have the money to use it. And those people, do they really, if you already have the money to just give everyone a license to use the AI, what are you doing? Just hire like 1 or 2 more people, and then you have your like level designers, or you have your graphics developers. Like this is only going to be reasonable for AAA, who already have so many developers.
I mean, a little bit of a counter to that is like a company's not going to blink an eye at $250 a month for each developer.
Well, if you're an indie dev of like 1 or 2 people, you haven't released your first game, and you're working out of like what you saved up from
you're paying in equity
for like 5 years. Will you really like not blink an eye at $250 a month? I don't know what I would spend that money on, but definitely not in AI. I don't think. I'll probably spend it on like server hosting or something instead, or rider licenses. Those aren't free either.
Yeah, true, but those are like $200 a year, right?
Yeah,
it's way less.
And then for me, that feels like a big cost.
I agree. I almost did it one time for my birthday. I was like, I'm gonna splurge, get a what is it called, JetBrains license. Only for my birthday would I spend this much, and they're saying you have to spend that a month.
But yeah, it just feels a little silly. And I think a lot of people are way more angry about it than I am, for once.
Yeah, definitely this right here. Generate near identical copies of Nintendo games. I was like, what are we doing here? Like,
and I have one more angle
dishonest.
on this.
Everything is so dishonest.
It is. But I have one more angle on it that is like less attached to the whole AI bit and more like a passion thing. Because both you and I are working on custom game engines, right? You're doing it on stream, I'm doing it for school, but we're still like doing the same thing in general. And I feel like having the possibility to do so without being like told like, why aren't you just doing it this way? Well, people still tell you that you should be using Godot or whatever.
Yep.
But it's not unreasonable to make your own game engine from a like, no, I need it for this point of view. And I feel like I would really miss that if everything just goes AI like this. Like the control and the like the little weird bits of like pointer management and stuff like that. Just knowing for a fact that everything that I'm doing is going to work in the same way wherever people play it. I don't trust this Genie tool to work the same everywhere. I don't trust it to remember how it did the first time when it's played the 200th time. Just with like AI not having a very big memory of like what stuff's supposed to look like. Of course, again, I haven't tried it, but I don't really trust it to remember the world as it was asked to be. If I can have that control to build it exactly as I want it to be, then I can trust that it will be played in the same-ish way every time it's played. And so, I don't know, it doesn't, unless they solve that problem, which I'm sure is a problem, I don't think I'll be using this tool.
Yeah, and like I was talking earlier how I think like it could be interesting for World Gen to be AI. But what I mean is not what they're doing. So what they're doing is like they're trying to generate games on the fly, like you're playing in the AI, right? And is that correct? Am I right by saying that?
Yeah, exactly. They're basically they're generating frames.
Yeah, it's image gen. And so that's not interesting to me. I think there are a lot of people that want that, where like you can hop into a game and it just becomes the game you want to play. I think that that's maybe a little lonely. Like you can't share that game with anyone because it's only going to generate once. It's going to be different the next time you play it. We talked about that AI Minecraft game that's totally cursed. It looks kind of fun. And people have like started doing speed runs of it and stuff because you can like look at like a block from like a different angle and then like rotate your camera and now you're in like the end and you can beat the Ender Dragon right there or whatever. And and it's pretty funny. So you kind of like, you can kind of gamify it in a way. I don't know. That's, people are making their own game of that. You know what I mean? It's not, they're not playing the game, they're playing their own game. They're playing a speedrun game. But like what I think could be useful is instead of training everything on Legend of Zelda and like other Nintendo games, like just train it on the real world, right? Train it on Google Maps or whatever. And then when I hop into Unity, I can say, hey, generate like a valley with like snow on the peaks and like a waterfall over here and like a little lake in the middle. And like, boom, you've got like a template to start working on, right? I think that something like that could be extremely useful without plagiarizing anything. Something like that I could see being awesome. And kind of where I would like AI to go, but that's just not the way it's going.
I feel like we already have that as well.
Oh yeah. A bunch of stuff like that works already. But I feel like it could be better.
I can find it. World Engine. I think that's the one that I'm thinking about. It's basically what you're talking about, but it's like it's already built, but it uses like noise and different algorithms to just make worlds. I don't know if it's World Engine specifically. I think it might be another one.
Well, yeah, and but like maybe you would use that like after the prompt, but like the prompt would be like you could have a little bit of a conversation, and it's like you can watch it like generating and like changing based on the prompts you give it for the first little bit. I don't know if you'd be able to use that as the end goal, but I think that could be a cool way to like start the generation of your world.
I'm gonna send it to you because I think you're gonna find it pretty cool. It's called World Machine.
World Machine.
And it's a simulation of like the terrain, and then you use that in your game engine, and then you get your world. And it's got many very, very cool tools.
Oh, I see.
But that's also not really just what they're doing, of course, like you said.
Yeah, if you know, if that's what they were actually doing, I could maybe be excited, but instead they are, you know, generating near identical copies of Nintendo games, which is not my favorite to hear. So they're like, look at this, we did this really cool thing, and we're over here like, what? You say what? You're like self-reporting? That's new.
Yeah. I feel like the biggest problem for me is that what I think is so cool about video games is that people make them.
Yeah.
And they are inspired by each other, as with any other art. You can see influences from modern games, or in modern games from old games. Like Clair Obscur, for example, has a very similar combat system to Persona or like the old Final Fantasies. And they put a new twist on it. And like that's the cool thing, is that they're analyzing what worked with the previous thing and making something new. And I feel like what this AI tool is doing is just, again, copying, which doesn't give it more value. It almost gives it less value.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yep. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more, or come check out my streams. Also, I made a game. It's $1 on Steam and free on the Play Store. Please buy my game.